11:18 p.m. Harlem heat sticks to the window glass like a second skin. A fan turns slow in the corner, chopping cigarette smoke into lazy ribbons. On Bumpy Johnson's desk, money sits in perfect stacks. Crisp bills squared so clean they look printed minutes ago. The kind of order that tells you this room is not where mistakes survive. A 10-year-old boy walks in barefoot. Quiet. Careful. Jerome, little J. Williams carries a sweating glass of lemonade with both hands like it's sacred. The lemon smell cuts through tobacco and ink. His eyes flick to the desk. Then back to the glass. Then to the door. He sets the lemonade down. Bumpy doesn't look up right away. He keeps counting. Thumb. Slide. Tap. Thumb. Slide. Tap. A rhythm as steady as a heartbeat. "Thank you, Jay," Bumpy says. Jay nods. Starts backing away. And somewhere in that two-step retreat, a single bill disappears. $5. A fraction of a fraction in a room where thousands move without paperwork. But the room changes anyway. Not because of what was taken. Because of who took it. Bumpy finishes counting. He takes a breath. Restacks the pile. Then his eyes sharpen, the way they do when a man senses a lie before he can name it. He checks the stack again. Slow. Exact. One bill missing. He doesn't curse. He doesn't shout. He doesn't call for a gun. He just sits there in the hum of the fan, listening to the house like it might confess. Because in Harlem, stealing $5 from Bumpy Johnson isn't a petty crime. It's a test. And the punishment is about to rewrite the rules for an entire neighborhood. August 1961. By this point, Bumpy Johnson is more than a man. He's a system. A shadow government with better accuracy than City Hall. He controls the numbers, the favors, the quiet negotiations between crews who would rather shoot than talk. His name travels through Harlem like weather. People don't ask if Bumpy is involved. They ask how involved. But there's another side to him that rarely makes it into the myths. Bumpy keeps promises. And one promise sits at the center of this story like a small, stubborn flame. Jerome Williams isn't just any kid. He's Bumpy's godson. The son of Bumpy's deceased best friend, a man Bumpy once trusted enough to turn his back around. A man who died before he could raise his own boy. When that friend was lowered into the ground, Bumpy didn't deliver a speech. He didn't need to. He stepped up in the way men like him do. Quietly. Permanently. He paid the rent. He made sure groceries stayed in the house. He checked Jay's grades. He asked about school in a voice that sounded casual but wasn't. And Jay, in return, treated Bumpy like something between an uncle and a king. He called him Uncle Bumpy because calling him Mr. Johnson felt too distant. He brought him lemonade because it made him feel useful. He sat near the men during card games and listened, absorbing Harlem lessons that weren't meant for children. Jay was smart. Good student. Quick with math. The kind of kid teachers point to and say, "He's going places." Because they need to believe Harlem produces more than headlines. But Harlem also produces gravity. And gravity pulls hardest on kids who want to look brave in front of other boys. The neighborhood boys had been circling Jay lately. Older kids who hung near the corner store and laughed too loudly. Boys who had already learned the first lie crime teaches you. It's not really stealing if the person you're stealing from has a lot. That lie is how small crimes get baptized into big ones. Bumpy doesn't know that lie is inside Jay yet. All Bumpy knows is this. A $5 bill is missing. He calls Mamie into the office. She enters with the calm of a woman who has survived years of being married to a dangerous man without letting danger become her personality. Her perfume is light. Her posture is straight. She looks at the money on the desk. Then at Bumpy's face. "Mamie, something wrong?" Bumpy holds up the stack. His eyes are steady. "Bumpy, $5 gone." Mamie tilts her head, practical. "Mamie, maybe you miscounted." Bumpy doesn't smile. But his eyes flicker with something like sadness. "Bumpy, I don't miscount." He pauses. The fan hums. Somewhere outside, a car passes slow, bass thumping like a heartbeat. Bumpy. Jay took it. Mamie's expression tightens. Not shock. More like disappointment arriving early. Mamie. Bumpy, he's a child. Bumpy nods once. He agrees. That's the problem. Bumpy. That's worse than losing 5,000. Mamie's eyes narrow. How? Bumpy leans back slightly, gaze drifting toward the doorway Jay walked through minutes ago. Bumpy. 5,000 is business. $5 is character. He doesn't say the next part out loud, but it's there in the room. If Jay is willing to steal from family, what will he do to strangers? Bumpy could call Jay back in. He could scare him. He could slap him and be done. Harlem understands fear. Fear is the oldest teacher on the block. But Bumpy has seen fear fail. He has watched men flinch, then repeat the crime anyway. He has watched boys get beaten at home and still go steal outside because at least the street applauds. So Bumpy chooses something more dangerous than violence. He chooses patience. He doesn't confront Jay that night. He tests him. That evening at dinner, the apartment smells like fried chicken and collard greens. Mamie sets the table with routine grace. Bumpy sits at the head, the way he always does, but his eyes are on Jay more than the food. Jay eats fast, eager, talking about school. A spelling test. A kid who got sent to the principal. The normal language of childhood. Bumpy waits until the plates are half empty. Then he drops the question like a coin in still water. Bumpy. Jay. You need money for anything? Jay's fork pauses midair. Just a fraction. Too small for most people to notice. Not small enough for Bumpy. Jay's eyes flick to Mamie. Then back to Bumpy. Jay. No, Uncle Bumpy. I'm good. Lie number 1. It lands softly on the table, almost polite. Jay smiles afterward, as if the lie is a small favor. As if protecting himself is the same as being respectful. Bumpy nods slowly, like he's accepting information. But inside, something hardens. The next day, Mamie takes her turn. Not because Bumpy needs help interrogating a child. Because Bumpy wants to see how deep the lie runs. Jay comes home after school, backpack slung over one shoulder. He heads toward the kitchen, expecting cookies, expecting comfort. Mamie meets him at the doorway with a calm face. Mamie. Jay, did you see any money on Uncle Bumpy's desk yesterday? Jay doesn't know Bumpy is standing in the hallway behind the living room door, listening. He only sees Mamie's eyes. Sharp. Gentle. Not accusing. Jay answers too quickly. Jay. No, ma'am. Didn't see anything. Lie number 2. Mamie doesn't react. She just nods and turns back to the stove, giving Jay room to walk away without feeling cornered. Jay takes the room, relief in his shoulders. He thinks he's safe. Bumpy watches him from the doorway as the boy disappears down the hall. Bumpy doesn't move. He doesn't speak. Because the money is nothing now. The lies are everything. Day 3, Bumpy tries something different. He has an associate named Curtis, a man with quiet eyes and a reputation for being able to read a room the way other men read newspapers. Curtis visits the house with paperwork, sits briefly in the living room with Jay nearby, pretending to review numbers with Bumpy. At one point, Curtis stands up as if by accident and a $10 bill slips from his pocket, fluttering to the floor near Jay's feet. The bill lies there like temptation made physical. Jay looks down. His eyes widen slightly. He glances toward Curtis, then toward the door, then toward Bumpy. This is the moment. The easy moment. The street moment. Jay bends, picks up the bill, and walks straight to Curtis. Jay. Mr. Curtis. You dropped this. Curtis looks surprised, then smiles. Curtis. Good looking out, kid. Jay beams. Proud. Bumpy watches it all and feels a strange mix of relief and dread. So it's not about money. It's about thrill. About taking from the one person in Harlem who feels untouchable. About proving to himself he can do it and survive. That's a different disease. A more dangerous one. It's the first itch of power. And Bumpy knows exactly where that itch leads. Day 4, Bumpy stops testing with questions and starts testing with shadow. He follows Jay after school. Not with a dramatic tale. No men in trench coats. No obvious threat. Bumpy moves like he always moves. Quiet. Observant. A man who learned long ago that the easiest way to catch a lie is to watch where it walks. Jay leaves school with a cluster of boys. 4 of them, slightly older, voices loud with the fake confidence of kids who practice adulthood in the mirror and fail. They cut through streets that smell like hot asphalt and garbage. They pass storefronts with faded signs. A barber shop with men laughing too hard. A liquor store with a line even in daylight. Bumpy stays half a block back, hat low, posture relaxed, like he belongs everywhere and nowhere. Jay and the boys stop at a candy shop. The window is crowded with jars of bright sugar. Red licorice. Lemon drops. Chocolate bars stacked like treasure. Jay reaches into his pocket and pulls out a $5 bill. Bumpy's eyes narrow. There it is. Jay slaps the bill on the counter with a flourish that's too big for his body. He buys candy for all 4 boys. He doesn't just buy for himself. He performs. The boys watch him like he's grown. One of them, a kid with a thin face and 2 old eyes, asks the question that matters. Boy, where you get money like that? Jay grins, chewing on pride. Jay. Found it. Line number 3. And Bumpy hears it. Not just the words. The ease of them. The way Jay says it like lying is already becoming normal. Bumpy's stomach tightens. Not anger. Something worse. A breaking. Because Bumpy isn't watching a stranger's kid become a criminal. He's watching his best friend's son drift toward the same cliff Harlem has pushed thousands of boys off. $5 didn't do this. The lie did. The lie is how crime enters a child's bloodstream. Quiet. Slow. Then permanent. That night, Bumpy sits at his desk again, the same stacks of money in front of him, and the room feels different. The fan still hums. The smoke still curls. But now the air holds the weight of an approaching decision. Mamie enters, sets down a cup of tea. She watches Bumpy's face. Mamie, you followed him. It isn't a question. Bumpy nods once. Mamie waits. He doesn't speak right away. When he does, his voice is low. Bumpy. He lied 3 times. Mamie's jaw tightens. She looks away for a moment, then back. Mamie. What are you going to do? Bumpy's gaze drops to the desk. Bumpy. I'm going to do what nobody did for the boys on these corners. He pauses. Bumpy. I'm going to teach him what crime costs. Day 5, evening. Bumpy calls it a family meeting. That's the phrase Mamie uses when she tells Jay to wash his hands and come into the living room. Jay obeys, but his shoulders tense. Kids can smell seriousness the way dogs smell storms. The living room is arranged differently tonight. Chairs set in a semicircle. The lights slightly dim. The radio off. No laughter. No background noise to hide behind. 3 of Bumpy's most trusted associates sit present. Not men who enjoy frightening children. Men who understand the gravity of what Bumpy is about to do. They sit quietly, hands folded, faces unreadable. Jay walks in and stops short. His eyes flick across the adults. He swallows. Jay. What's going on? Mamie sits. Calm. Unmoving. She doesn't rescue him. Not tonight. Tonight is consequences. Bumpy sits last. He doesn't loom. He doesn't perform. He just settles into his chair like a judge taking the bench. The room goes silent. Jay's hands start sweating. He wipes them on his pants, thinking no one notices. Everyone notices. Bumpy finally speaks. Bumpy. Jay. I'm going to ask you one question. Jay nods quickly. Yes, sir. Bumpy's voice stays level. Bumpy. Think carefully. Your answer determines your future. That sentence lands heavy. Jay's eyes widen. He tries to read Bumpy's face and can't. Bumpy is too controlled. Jay. Yes, sir, he repeats, weaker this time. Bumpy leans forward slightly. Bumpy, did you take $5 from my desk 4 days ago? Silence. A thick, suffocating silence. Jay stares at the floor. Then at Mamie. Then at the associates. Then back at Bumpy. He knows he's caught. He can feel it. But habit is powerful. Lying is already becoming reflex. His mouth opens. A lie forms. Then he sees Bumpy's eyes. Not rage. Not cruelty. Disappointment. It hits Jay like cold water. Because getting hit would be easier. Getting yelled at would be easier. Disappointment means he has hurt someone he loves. Jay's face crumples. Tears rise fast and hot. Jay. Yes, he whispers. His voice breaks. Jay. Yes, Uncle Bumpy. I took it. I'm sorry. Bumpy doesn't react immediately. He lets the confession hang in the air, giving it weight. Giving Jay no escape from his own words. Bumpy. Why? Jay sniffles, wipes his nose with the back of his hand. Jay. My friends, they said you wouldn't notice. He chokes on the next part, ashamed. Jay. They said it's not real stealing. Because you're like my dad. Mamie's eyes glisten, but she keeps her face still. That line cuts her too. Bumpy feels it in his chest like a bruise. Bumpy's voice drops lower. Bumpy, your friends are wrong. Jay's shoulders shake. He tries to speak again, but Bumpy continues. Bumpy, stealing from family is worse than stealing from strangers. He pauses. Bumpy, because strangers don't owe you trust. Jay sobs quietly now. His head is down. Jay, are you going to hit me? The question is small. Childlike. It reveals what Harlem has taught him about punishment. Bumpy's answer is calm. Bumpy. No. Jay looks up, surprised. Bumpy. Something worse. Jay's breathing catches. His eyes widen again. Bumpy. I'm going to teach you. That sentence scares Jay more than a slap. Because teaching means time. It means attention. It means Bumpy isn't going to let this fade. And in Harlem, nothing is more dangerous than a man who decides you're worth the effort. Bumpy lays out the punishment like a contract. Bumpy. For the next 30 days you work for me. Jay blinks, confused through tears. Jay. Work? Doing what? Bumpy's gaze stays steady. Bumpy. You'll see the cost of crime. Every day after school. 3 hours. Jay opens his mouth to protest, but the room's stillness shuts it down. He nods slowly. He doesn't understand yet. He will. Week 1 begins with a smell Jay will never forget. Disinfectant. Rust. Old sweat. Concrete that has absorbed too many regrets. Bumpy takes Jay to a prison visiting room. Not as a spectacle. Not to scare him with horror stories. To let him see the end of a road that starts with $5. Jay sits on a hard plastic chair, feet not touching the floor. His hands grip the edge of the table. Bumpy sits beside him, calm, wearing a suit that makes him look like he belongs in a courtroom more than a cell block. Across the table sits a man Bumpy knows. A former criminal. Mid-40s. Face lined like it's been folded too many times. Eyes tired but sharp. Hands rough. A number stitched onto his shirt like a brand. The man looks at Jay for a long moment, then speaks. Prisoner. How old you is? Jay's voice is small. 10. The man nods, as if that confirms something. Prisoner. I was 10 when I stole $5 from my mom. Jay stiffens. His stomach tightens. The sentence lands too close. Prisoner. Thought I was slick. Thought I was grown. Thought it didn't count because it was only 5. He leans forward. Prisoner. Then I stole 10. Then 20. Then I stole a wallet. Then I stole a car. Then I put a gun in my hand because stealing gets easier when you got a gun. Jay's eyes widen. He glances at Bumpy, but Bumpy stays still, letting the story do its work. Prisoner. Now I'm here. 20-year sentence. He taps the table once. Prisoner. And the saddest part ain't this place. Jay whispers. What is it? The man's eyes harden. Prisoner. My mom died while I was in here. I couldn't go see her. Couldn't fix nothing. Couldn't give her back her $5. Couldn't give her back the son I stole from her. Jay's throat tightens. He swallows hard. His palms sweat. Bumpy leans close to Jay's ear, voice low. Bumpy. You hear him? Jay nods, barely. Bumpy. That's interest. The word interest is new in Jay's mind. He's heard it with money. Now he hears it with consequences. They visit more men that week. Each story different in details, identical in shape. Small theft. Bigger theft. Gun. Prison. A life narrowed to concrete. Jay goes home each night quieter. He eats dinner slower. He doesn't brag. He doesn't laugh as loudly. He starts looking at his hands as if they might betray him. Week 2 shifts the punishment from prisons to living rooms. Bumpy brings Jay to meet families destroyed by crime. Not strangers off the street. Real people. Harlem people. People who work, pray, laugh, and still get hit by violence they never asked for. A widow opens her door to them. Her apartment smells like starch and sadness. A photograph of her husband sits on a table, framed, dusted carefully. In the photo, he's smiling, proud, alive. The widow's voice is steady when she speaks, but her fingers tremble as she holds a cup of tea. Widow. My husband went to the store for milk. Jay sits on the couch, hands in his lap, eyes fixed on her face. Widow. A boy with a gun stopped him. Said it was just one robbery. Her eyes flick toward a corner where 2 children sit quietly drawing. They don't look up. They don't need to. This story lives in the apartment like furniture. Widow. My husband handed over his wallet. The boy got nervous. Pulled the trigger. Jay's breath catches. His eyes water. He presses his lips together. Widow. Now my children don't have a father because somebody wanted quick money. She looks straight at Jay. Not accusing. Teaching. Widow. You think crime just hurts the person you steal from? Jay shakes his head slowly. Widow. It hurts people you never meet. Bumpy watches Jay absorb that sentence like it's being carved into him. This is what Bumpy wanted. Not fear. Understanding. Another home. Another story. A mother with tired eyes shows Jay a letter from the army, telling her son died overseas. And then she shows him another letter. A court letter. Her other son's sentenced for robbery back in Harlem. 2 sons gone. Different wars. Same emptiness. Jay walks out of that apartment with his shoulders hunched like he's carrying something heavy. He is. Week 3 changes again. Bumpy stops showing Jay the end of crime and starts showing him the alternative. Bumpy brings Jay into his legitimate businesses. Harlem has always had legitimate work. The problem is it rarely pays enough to feel like a future. But Bumpy, for all his criminal power, also holds stakes in businesses that keep the neighborhood running. A laundry service. A small delivery operation. Properties managed with paperwork instead of threats. Jay sees men working. Honest men. Men with grease under their nails and sweat on their brows. Men who get up early and come home tired. Men who earn money slowly, the way money is supposed to be earned. Jay watches a delivery driver count his wages carefully, folding bills and tucking them into a wallet worn soft. The driver smiles when he talks about buying school supplies for his daughter. Bumpy leans down beside Jay, voice low. Bumpy. This is how real men make money. Jay nods, eyes tracking the driver. Bumpy. Not stealing. Jay doesn't answer. He doesn't need to. The words are settling. In the office of one business, Jay watches a clerk do math. Adding. Subtracting. Balancing ledgers. The clerk is proud of accuracy. Proud of clean numbers. Bumpy's gaze lingers on Jay. Bumpy. You good at school, ain't you? Jay nods. Bumpy. You want a life where your math builds something. He pauses. Bumpy. Not a life where your math helps you hide. That sentence sinks deeper than any prison story. Because it frames the choice as identity. Builder or taker. Week 4 is the hardest. Because now Bumpy removes the lessons and replaces them with labor. Bumpy gives Jay the final assignment. Bumpy. You gonna earn $5. Jay's eyes widen. I already said sorry. Bumpy nods. Bumpy. Sorry don't teach your hands nothing. He lays out the deal. Jay will sweep floors in a back office. Clean windows. Run errands. Carry boxes. Do the work that adults do when nobody applauds them. And he will earn it. $1 at a time. Sometimes 50 cents. Sometimes a quarter. The way real money comes to real people. Jay begins after school. 3 hours a day. He sweeps until his arms ache. He wipes tables until his fingers cramp. He runs errands until his legs burn. The first day, he thinks it will be easy. $5 isn't much. He stole it in a second. By day 3, he realizes something. Earning $5 is slow. Earning $5 is sweat. Earning $5 is boring. Jay starts asking for breaks. Then stops asking. He starts complaining under his breath. Then stops. He starts showing up early without being told, because pride has been replaced by determination. By the end of the week, his hands are raw. His shirt smells like dust and soap. His eyes are tired in a way school never made them tired. On the final day of the 30, Jay stands in front of Bumpy's desk again. The same desk. The same stacks. The same fan turning slow. But Jay is different. He holds 2 $5 bills in his palm. One crumpled and old from being handled. One newer, earned, folded carefully like it matters. He sets them on the desk with both hands. Jay. Here. Bumpy looks down at the bills. Bumpy. Why you giving me 10? Jay's voice is quiet. Steady. No performance. Jay. 5 is what I stole. He swallows. Jay. 5 is interest. For wasting your time teaching me. The room goes silent again, but this time the silence feels clean. Bumpy stares at Jay for a long moment. Then he reaches out and picks up both bills, one in each hand, weighing them like evidence. Bumpy's voice is soft when he speaks. Bumpy. You learned the lesson. Jay's shoulders drop slightly, relief slipping in. Bumpy continues. Bumpy. But I'm not keeping this. Jay blinks, confused. Bumpy stands. Bumpy. Come on. He takes Jay outside. The late summer air smells like hot pavement and frying oil from a nearby kitchen. They walk down the block together. Men nod at Bumpy. Women glance, curious. Everyone notices. Nobody speaks. They enter a bank. The bank is cool. Quiet. The kind of quiet Harlem rarely experiences unless it's forced. A white teller looks up, eyes shifting when she recognizes Bumpy. She becomes polite fast. Bumpy steps up to the counter with Jay beside him. Bumpy. We opening a savings account. In his name. Jay's eyes widen. The teller hesitates, then begins paperwork with hands that move slightly too quickly. Bumpy lays the 2 $5 bills on the counter. Bumpy. 5 from him. He pulls out more cash. Crisp. Clean. He counts out $490 and adds it to the pile. Bumpy. 5 from me. He pauses, eyes on Jay now. Bumpy. $490 because I believe in you. Jay stares at the money like it's unreal. Jay. That's mine? Bumpy nods. Bumpy. It's yours. But you can't touch it. Jay frowns. Why? Bumpy. Because you touch money too early, you never learn what it's for. He signs papers. The teller stamps forms. A small book is handed over. Numbers printed on a page. Proof that a different future can exist if someone bothers to build it. Bumpy hands the savings book to Jay. Bumpy. This account grows. Jay's fingers close around it carefully, like it might break. Bumpy. You don't touch it till college. Jay's head snaps up. College? The word feels like another planet. Bumpy looks at him with a calm certainty that makes it feel possible. Bumpy. Yes. Because you made one mistake and learned from it. He leans down slightly, voice low, almost intimate. Bumpy. That's what smart men do. Jay nods slowly, swallowing hard. His eyes shine, but he doesn't cry this time. He just holds the book tighter. The story spreads through Harlem the way real stories do. Not as gossip. As warning and hope. Bumpy tells it publicly when he has to. At barbershops. At community meetings. In quiet conversations with mothers who are scared their sons are slipping. Even my godson faced consequences, Bumpy says. No one above rules. Harlem listens. Because Harlem knows hypocrisy. Harlem has watched men preach one thing and do another. Harlem has watched leaders protect their own children while other kids get thrown to wolves. Bumpy doesn't do that. He punished the boy he loved. Fairly. Thoughtfully. In public enough that people understood the message. And something shifts. Not overnight. Not magically. But measurably. Boys who might have tested Bumpy's boundaries decide not to. Boys who might have stolen from old ladies reconsider. Not because they fear getting shot. Because they fear getting exposed. Made to work. Made to look at what they're becoming. True punishment becomes education, not destruction. And Harlem, for a moment, sees an alternative to the endless cycle of beatings, arrests, and funerals. Bumpy Johnson dies. Harlem goes quiet in a way it only goes quiet for certain men. The kind of quiet that feels like the neighborhood is holding its breath to see what comes next. Jay is 17 at the funeral. Tall now. Shoulders broader. Eyes older. He stands in a dark suit that doesn't quite hide how much he's grown. He watches men cry without shame. Men who have killed. Men who have survived. Men who now look like children themselves in the face of loss. After the funeral, Mamie calls Jay aside. She hands him a small envelope and a bank book. Her voice is gentle but firm. Mamie. This was his. Jay's fingers tremble as he opens the bank book. He flips through pages of deposits he didn't know existed. Bumpy kept adding. Quietly. Consistently. Like planting seeds in secret. Jay's throat tightens as he reads the final balance. $4,200. A fortune for a kid in Harlem. A future on paper. Inside the envelope is a letter, Bumpy's handwriting heavy and deliberate. Jay reads it standing there, the sound of Harlem traffic distant. Jay. That $5 taught you more than 5,000 could buy. Use this for college. Make me proud. Uncle Bumpy. Jay presses the letter to his chest. His breath shudders once. He closes his eyes. That's the thing about real lessons. You don't appreciate them when they're happening. You appreciate them when the teacher is gone. Jay graduates from Howard University with a business degree. He walks across a stage in a cap and gown while his mother cries in the audience, and Mamie sits beside her, hands folded, eyes shining, dignity intact. Harlem kids don't always get that stage. Harlem kids don't always get that diploma. Jay does. And he knows exactly what that diploma traces back to. A $5 bill. Jay returns to Harlem and opens a community center. He calls it the Second Chance Center. The building isn't glamorous. It smells like fresh paint and old brick. The floors creak. The chairs don't match. But the purpose is sharp. The program has one entrance requirement. Admit your mistake. Work to fix it. No excuses. No denial. No hiding behind. I found it. Jay teaches kids how to earn money. How to build credit. How to read contracts. How to start small businesses. He brings in former criminals to speak honestly, the way Bumpy brought him to prison. He brings in widows and fathers and teachers. He doesn't humiliate kids. He doesn't destroy them. He educates them. And on the wall of the center, he places a plaque. $5 that changed everything. Beside it, behind glass, 2 $5 bills are framed. The original. And the interest. Jay is 75 now. His hair is gray. His hands are steady. He walks through the center with a cane he doesn't like using, stopping to talk to kids the way Bumpy once talked to him. The walls are covered with photographs. Graduations. Job placements. Smiling teenagers holding tool belts and college acceptance letters. Over 46 years, the center has helped more than 10,000 youth. 10,000 second chances. 10,000 lives pulled back from the cliff by structure instead of violence. A reporter asked Jay once, late in life, what Bumpy really taught him. Not about crime. About life. Jay looks at the framed bills and speaks softly. My uncle taught me that a mistake you own and fix is worth more than a crime you deny. That sentence becomes a mantra for the center. It gets repeated in classrooms. On counseling sessions. In late-night talks with kids who don't believe they can be anything but what Harlem expects. And the twist is this. Jay's model doesn't stay in Harlem. It spreads. City officials study it. Juvenile justice reformers reference it. Programs across New York borrow pieces of it. The idea that consequences can be labor, education, restitution, and mentorship instead of cages and scars. A punishment that builds. A punishment that changes trajectory instead of ending it. So here's the question that lingers. Was Bumpy Johnson being kind? Or was he being strategic? Because teaching one boy might have been the most powerful thing he ever did. More powerful than guns. More powerful than fear. More powerful than any numbers racket. If you can change the next generation, you don't have to keep fighting the same war. And it started with $5. If this story made you think about what real justice should look like for kids who make small mistakes, hit subscribe. We're not excusing crime. We're confronting the truth about what happens when punishment only destroys and never teaches. Drop a comment with your answer. If a child steals from you, what's the right consequence? Fear, pain, prison, or education that forces them to see the cost? Turn on notifications for more untold stories from Harlem and beyond, the moments that didn't make the history books but shaped the streets anyway. And tonight, remember Ellsworth, Bumpy Johnson, a man who understood something the system still struggles to learn. A $5 theft can become a life sentence. Or it can become a lesson. The difference is who shows up. The fan keeps turning. The smoke keeps curling. And somewhere in Harlem, a kid is still looking at a bill in his palm, deciding what kind of man he'll become.